This week starts stormy, then ends much different. That's the main thing that we're going to talk about tonight. As we talked about it last night, but we're going to again go on and contribute more evidence and more reasoning as of why this week will start stormy and then end much different. And it has to do with rainfall and it has to do with temperature. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to go on here with the pattern that's going to make our weather different. We're going to get into all of that, but first, before we get into that, what's on tap for tonight? We're obviously going to talk about our current stuff, what's currently going on, short term future, with our active shower and thunderstorms that continue all the way through Tuesday. Temperatures drop below normal Monday and Tuesday behind the cold front that's about to move through. And then we're also going to see some lingering shower and storm activity tomorrow and Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, going on into the late week, seasonal pattern returns back to normal. So we're going to return to see those showers and storms and those daily high temperatures of up into the 90s, close to up into the 100s, 105, 110 in terms of heat index value. So we will be back to being normal. So if you've not hit the like button yet or the subscribe button yet, please go on and do so. Also hit the share button, share with your friends, your family members, and your acquaintances, all the people that you don't talk to regularly. Because it's free, it's free, it's free, and it always will be. So starting off, what's currently going on throughout the state of South Carolina? Well, as you can see right now, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning right now going on up here inside of Spartanburg and Union counties. This is for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail. That's like areas like Woodruff, Moore, Cross Keys, Pauline, going into Enoree and Buffalo, South Carolina. Those areas have a severe thunderstorm warning until 9:15 p.m. and that's continuing to move its way over into the north and east and more east into like the Pacolet area. So severe weather is going on in the state. We also have some flood advisories for Orangeburg going over into Norway, South Carolina, Finland, Cope, South Carolina is included in there, and a bunch of rainfall activity just in general. I mean, if you're looking from the Midlands all the way down to the low country areas, you can see we have a good amount of rainfall. Even the upstate seeing some rainfall as we speak. Now, as we go on and take a look at our rainfall for the entire U.S., you see rainfall going on all the way into like Virginia, going on to the Carolinas, going into Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, even inside of Texas. And then we even have some severe weather going on inside of Arizona, some more rainfall in Nevada, California, and Idaho as well. And then we also have some severe weather ongoing up here inside of Montana, moving on over into other areas as well. Now, honestly, I don't really see much from this severe thunderstorm warning, so I don't know if it is. I mean, it doesn't say like a gusty shower or severe showers moving through, but you don't really see too much with that severe thunderstorm warning, so maybe it's just some light rain and some heavy winds moving through. That's the only thing I can really think of. But overall, active conditions right now in the central U.S. is looking honestly the driest right now. Now for our cloud cover, does look like we're gonna have an active cloud cover night. You can already see we have cloud cover from the upstate all the way down to the coastal areas. And if you look into our cloud cover for the future, you go into tonight, going into tomorrow morning, we still are going to be seeing some cloud cover all the way over into tomorrow morning, going into tomorrow afternoon. And then as you move into tomorrow evening, going into tomorrow night, Tuesday morning comes along, and we are still talking about some widespread cloud cover activity. And this will obviously be a result of the pattern change, the widespread rainfall that we're about to receive as we go into the next couple of days. Now, current temperatures right now, we're talking about 80 in Somerville, 82 in Charleston, 81 Hilton Head Island, as well as 80 in Georgetown, 79 in Murray's Inlet and Conway, as well as 80 in Myrtle Beach, 78 in Sumter, Florence, 79 in Columbia, 77 Newbury, Greenville at 75, Spartanburg at 76, Gaffney, York, and Rock Hill at 76. Now, what about our air quality for tonight? It looks like that the majority of us are inside that good category, but look over there near Spartanburg, a moderate risk of air quality over there. What does that mean? Not too bad, but also not too good air quality either. So if you're in that yellow area for tonight and you're outside for a long period of time, just make sure that you're paying attention. Now, what about our low temperatures for tonight? We're talking about around 68 in Greenville, 67 in Spartanburg, 68 Rock Hill, and even 71 in Columbia, Sumter, Florence, all at 71. 72 in Moncks Corner, and 71 in Walterboro, 76 in Charleston, and 75 in Myrtle Beach, 77 in Hilton Head Island. And then high temperatures for tomorrow. Look at how much cooler it's going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a way nicer day. With around 78 in Greenville, 77 in Spartanburg, 85 in Columbia, 87 even inside of Orangeburg, 90 inside of Walterboro, and 89 in Charleston, 88 inside of Georgetown as well. So I'm going to get into it for tomorrow, and I think tomorrow definitely could be a good work day, before the rainfall moves in, and we'll get into that once we get into the short-term models. Heat index value is obviously not going to be as hot, but we still have some areas that may reach around 100 degrees in terms of a heat index value, so that's possible still. And then in terms of rainfall definitely is expected. I mean, honestly, I think that everybody, according to the National Weather Service, everybody could, potentially see a quarter of an inch or more as we move into the next 24 hours. Again, everybody in the state, quarter of an inch or more. See a quarter of an inch to a half an inch for like Charleston, going to Georgetown, Winsboro, going to Newberry, half an inch to an inch for the majority of the state from Cheraw to Camden to Columbia, all the way over to Myrtle Beach and Kingstree, and then maybe even an inch to an inch and a half over there near Walterboro and a lot of other areas in the eastern parts of South Carolina. Now, like I said, rainfall activity does continue to kind of go on, and it does kind of continue to go on and kind of like spread its way out statewide. And we're going to be getting into that as we go into the models for the future. Now, right now, obviously, we know what the SPC Outlook likes to do. They like to go on and kind of show the SPC Outlook for like around earlier, because usually they don't update it to around 9 o'clock p.m. But it looks like they just updated it. And to be completely honest, it looks like that they haven't really changed much. It's going to take a second here to load. But I'm just going to show the one here from North Carolina, because this one was already preloaded. I don't know why it's not. Well, actually, it's not updating on either. So I guess we're just going to have to wait on that. But it seems like right now that we still have a slight risk of severe weather for areas like inside like Columbia, Florence, Charleston, Hilton Head Island. So all the low country areas still continue to see that. Here's the new one. I think here it is right here. Going to load that up over onto this screen. You can see a marginal risk still goes on for the upstate, still goes on for the, northern Midlands, but look in the yellow. That's still that slight risk. 15% risk in the yellow. So 5% in the brown, 15% in the yellow for damaging winds. So that severe weather risk is definitely still here. That severe weather risk is definitely still here. And, we haven't gotten rid of it yet. Have not gotten rid of it yet. So we're going to continue to wait on, waited on and see what's going to happen tonight. But according to the SPC, I don't think they think that severe weather is done. I mean, even right now, we still have severe thunderstorm warning throughout the state. But I don't really see anything else elsewhere. And that's kind of where my question kind of comes in. Now, tomorrow, margin risk of severe weather over here for the western parts of the state, the low country, again, going inside that western PD area. Continuing to see risk of severe weather again for tomorrow. Isolated damaging winds of up to 60 miles per hour in the dark green. And if you're in the light green, just a regular thunderstorm risk. Tuesday comes along and thunderstorms are expected, but they're not expected to be severe. No fire weather. Excessive rainfall. This is one of the big ones. And honestly, I think this could be potentially even bigger threat than the severe weather risk. Obviously, as you can see, a good amount of the state tonight still has that slight risk of excessive rainfall, and we have a bunch of flood advisories going on right now as we speak. Now, this is again for tonight. If you're in the yellow, you have a 15% risk of flash flooding. If you're in the green, you have a 5%. Tomorrow, isolated flash flooding. Tomorrow is possible. We go into Tuesday. Isolated flash flooding again is possible. Wednesday and Thursday come along though, and now we're talking about, not really any excessive rainfall, or not an excessive rainfall risk as we go into Wednesday, going into Thursday as well. But tomorrow, tonight, and Tuesday, flash flooding seems to be a pretty big issue. It does. Now, if we go into the crazy score, right now we're at a 40. Why? Well, I mean, there is a severe thunderstorm warning going on, but other than that, that's really the only thing besides the two flood advisories, which I see the flood advisory says +1. I'm gonna fix that up because I think flood advisories should be a little bit higher than that. A one to me is a bit too low, but for right now, there's only really one severe thunderstorm warning, and that's really what's propping up the score a lot. Now, there are other areas that kind of push it up as well. Obviously, areas that are receiving some light rainfall that adds into the mix. The rainfall adds into it. Cloud cover adds into it as well. Some areas being, still a bit warm. That also kind of adds to it as well. So a lot of things kind of add up right now. So let's go on now and talk about the models. Time is at the bottom part of your screen. Please make sure that you're paying attention to the models and the time frame because it is very, very, very important that you go on and do so. As if you lose track of where we are, it's a good chance that you may get lost. So we're going to start off here at 9 o'clock p.m. and you can see it's definitely a lot more propped up earlier than what it currently is now. And even if you go into like 11 p.m. going all the way to around 12 o'clock in the morning, you can still see shower and storm activity from the upstate over into the PD area. You can see over inside of the more Grand Strand areas tomorrow at like 2 a.m. You can still see thunderstorm activity is still possible. And I guess that is why they have that risk of severe weather still for tonight. And that's just because we have a bunch of shower and storm activity that could still happen later on. But even as you move into around 6 o'clock in the morning on Monday, going into around 9 o'clock in the morning on Monday, things definitely calm down. And this is what I kind of want to talk about. So if you remember the high temperatures from earlier, the high temperatures for tomorrow, you're seeing 70s in the upstate, you're seeing 80s in the Midlands, you're seeing maybe a couple of 90s in the low country. But that's definitely nicer weather than what we have been receiving over the past couple of days. Now, if we go on and take a look over into tomorrow morning, look at 7 a.m. Yeah, you have some shower activity in the upstate in the PD areas, but look in the low country. Go to 8 a.m., go to 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. We're looking at some nice dry conditions. Nice dry conditions. And so, I don't think I've said this really in a minute now at this point, but I think that tomorrow morning, going to maybe tomorrow early afternoon, potentially for a lot of areas, may actually be pretty nice to go outside and do some work. I think that it really could be. I mean, again, we just saw the high temperatures not being as high as they usually are for tomorrow. I do think that a good amount of us could get outside tomorrow morning, could get outside tomorrow afternoon, can go outside and do, whatever you need to do, rather it be yard work, rather it be just going outside, sitting down for a minute, or whatever it is. I do think that tomorrow morning could be definitely a great day to do so, especially, like I said, if no rainfall is occurring. Now, with summer, thunderstorms can happen. They form, pretty often, and they could be all over the place. So the models aren't going to be exact in terms of the placement of these storms, but the idea is there. The idea is there that we could potentially be seeing some mostly dry conditions statewide going into tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. Now, what happens if we get to around 2 p.m. going all the way to around 4 p.m. or so? It looks like rainfall activity continues. Thunderstorm activity continues all the way into like the Midland areas, all the way up into the upstate, and just every region in general is getting in on some shower and storm activity tomorrow, even into the evening hours. We go into tomorrow night, all the way into tomorrow like at midnight. So, well, Tuesday at midnight, I should say instead. And again, things calm down. Now, Tuesday morning, it looks like a bit of a flip. We had, the upstate kind of receiving the majority of maybe some morning rainfall on Monday. Then we went through Monday seeing widespread or regionally widespread shower and storm activity, bringing that chance of severe weather. And then as we get into Tuesday morning, it seems like he wants to try on the opposite side of the state, 7 a.m. You see a good amount of shower, some downpour activity in the low country this time, in the Grand Strand areas. But the upstate, Midlands, those areas, the northern PD, looks like that they're trying to take a little bit of a break. And then even as you get into the afternoon, guess what? That sea breeze starts right back all over again. And then we start to see shower and storm activity in the low country areas, the Grand Strand areas in the early afternoon on Tuesday. So things do look like things do look like that they will be taking maybe a little bit of a flip even here between Monday and Tuesday. But one thing about both of these days is that they both will be cool. I didn't go over Tuesday's high temperatures, but Tuesday will also be just as cool, if not cooler. Just as cool, if not cooler, than Monday. So what's going on in terms of our long-term future? So past Monday, past, Tuesday afternoon, what's going to happen here? Well, if we go and take a look at Monday real quick, going to around 5 p.m., we go all the way to around 11 p.m. or so, all the way into like the nighttime hours, going into Wednesday morning. Again, you see some rainfall kind of coming through, but it's not a lot. And even Wednesday even looks pretty good for the majority of us as well. And Wednesday, obviously, it's not going to be as cool, but I don't think it's really going to be as hot either, as we have been seeing it. Thursday comes along, though, Friday comes along, and then we really start to see that activity, that warm air, that hot air, really start to come back, especially as we move later on into the week. We go into Saturday, moving on into Sunday, and again, rainfall activity just continues on. Rather it be over there inside of the eastern parts of the state or the northern parts, you're continuing just to see some rainfall activity kind of just here and there, but it's not really widespread. And so I think we really need to benefit from this rainfall now, because you move into the rest of the week, going into early next week, and you're not really seeing any sort of major storm system maybe until midweek next week. So we need to benefit from this rainfall. We just saw an increase in our drought on Thursday of last week. So really, I think we do need to see that. Now, as we go over into Sunday, going over into Monday and Tuesday, not next week, but the week following, we're continuing to see some rainfall here and there towards like the last couple of days of July. But it doesn't really get too bad. Doesn't really get too bad at all. Now, 300 plus hours out, things can change. Obviously, thunderstorms could happen. Severe weather could definitely happen. But I don't see like a full-on major storm system again. Maybe until like later on midweek next week. And so that's all that I can see here in terms of the models for the future. Let's go on real quick because it is time for the week forecast. And since we pretty much talked about this week, what does the official forecast say, or the official anomaly say for this week? What does the official anomaly say for this week? Well, we're gonna go on and look at our precipitation first, and I really do believe that the ensembles here, the anomalies, kind of like this kind of like beginning of the week rainfall, just because as you can see, state of South Carolina is in green. So that means that we're going to see above average precipitation this week, more than what we would usually see this week. So seems like that the anomalies here kind of like it. Now, as we get more towards the end of the week, obviously it does seem like that things are going to try and calm down and get a little bit more back to reality. But I really do think that this beginning of the week rainfall that we see here will definitely prop it up. So we want to see that. That's good. That's good. What about 4-hour temperatures for the week, though? Well, we start off here going into Sunday, moving on into the future, and obviously we know it's going to be cooler as we move into Monday. We know it's going to be cooler as we move into Tuesday. But then what about as we move into Wednesday? What about as we move into Thursday? Those temperatures immediately start back up, and Wednesday doesn't look that bad. Thursday comes along, though, and we're back to seeing 10 to 15 degrees above average. We go into Friday, again, 15 degrees above average. We go into Saturday, once again, 15, 20 degrees above average. Now, as we go on and take a look at the actual temperatures themselves into this week, moving into Monday, I'm going into Tuesday. Tuesday, doesn't look that bad. I actually do see some high 80s up in there, but again, the GFS usually is made for the long term. Not so great with the near term, but something to just keep an eye on. Wednesday comes along, and then those temperatures immediately get back up into like the mid 90s for a lot of people. And then Thursday, we're back up into the 100s. We get into Friday, we're back up into the 100s. Saturday, past 100 once again. And then for our heat index values for the future, obviously Tuesday we're not seeing too much. Wednesday, we're going to be up into the hundreds in terms of heat index values, but then we'll be back to around 105, 106, 107 as we move into Friday, even going on into Saturday. So let's go on and take a look at the anomalies for the week. What does the temperatures look like for this week? Well, the temperatures actually seem to be on the above average scale, even though the beginning of the week is not really that above average. It's actually below average. The temperature for the remaining of the week kind of show a bit more of an above average taste, and so that's why we're going to be above average on average for the week here. So now with all that out of the way, and with the week out the way, I do want to go in and switch gears back to precipitation real quick because I kind of want to see what the ensembles have to say for the future, and they're kind of on board from what they said yesterday. Said maybe around 2.8 to around 3.94 inches or so as you move in throughout the next 384 hours. And actually, I wasn't even pushed in all the way here in terms of the time frame. So we actually are around 3 inches, if not close to around 4.5 inches of rainfall as we move in throughout the next 384 hours, according to the GEFS. Great. We want to see this. We want to see this beneficial rainfall come in. And from the European, as you move throughout the next 360 hours, has us more on a basis of everyone's going to get kind of close to around 3 to 3.5 inches or so. Now, as we go on and take a look at our temperatures past this week as well, we move over into next week Sunday, going into Monday of next week. Temperatures 17, 20 degrees above average. We go into Tuesday, close to 20 degrees above average once again going into Wednesday. But then, like I said, it looks like maybe a good midweek storm system may try to bring in some cooler air as we go into Wednesday. And what do we see? Some cooler air definitely trying to make its way through as we get into Thursday, we get into Friday of next week, and then even as we go into the weekend could actually look below average. So, I know it's 300 plus hours out. I know that's definitely going to change, but another cool down seems possible right after this one next week. So now, what about the actual temperatures themselves? Well, if we go into Saturday, Sunday or so, we know it's going to continue to be hot. Monday comes in still. Tuesday still hot, 100 plus. But then Wednesday comes in, and then we go into Thursday, and temperatures are only in like the mid to lower 90s now. Now, usually once we get around 200 plus hours out, things start to get a little bit unreliable, but the GFS deterministic model kind of shows a little bit more of a cooler time frame even as we move into like the end part of July. Maybe a little bit of a warm up though as we move into the last couple of days though. Now, for the heat index values, as you move into next week, it continues to see, temperatures 110, see 112 in some areas. I see, 108, 111, 109 as we move into days of next week. And then as we move forward, what do you see? A cool down. Now, what about for the actual ensemble? So, as I said earlier, once you get around 200 plus hours out, things start to get a little bit unreliable here in terms of exact temperature. So, we can go in and take a look at the GEFS, and kind of take a look at this pattern here. And one thing that we do see is that temperatures, do actually try. They do actually try to cool down as we get into midweek next week or so, somewhere around there. But then as we move into Thursday and Friday, things start to warm up a little bit, but may even try to kind of stay steady as we move towards the end of July. So we'll see what happens here. Things start to get a little bit, out of whack here, once you get around 200 plus 300 hours out or so. But that's pretty much all I have to say here in terms of the long-term future. Now, I have seen some buzz about it, which I'm going to just switch over to the crazy score screen real quick. But I have seen some people, talking about the tropics. I have seen some people saying that there's a signal. There's a signal now that's kind of being shown. And we can go in and check that out right now to see. And I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to turn on the loop real quick. But let me go over into the left screen, and then as we move our way over here, as we want to move this forward, you kind of see some activity starting to go on down here, right off the coast of Africa or so in the main development region. This goes into around the 16th here, so that's later on this week on Thursday or so, and you can see that it actually, tries to get going a little bit, but it kind of dies down a little bit. But also, I know that if you even go even further than that, if you go, I think it's into the past forecast hour, it may actually be another one. I may have to go in and check it out on the other website real quick. But the main thing is that we're starting to see some type of development trying to go on. Now, like I said, it's low confidence. We're still a long ways out for that. Still a long ways out for that. And like you can see, even you're not even seeing that many models either kind of showing their face down there either. So I'm not really too bought in on it either. Not really too bought in on it either. But I have seen some ensembles being shown more of the golf. And so if I go in and show this over here, go back into the models real quick. Scroll my way up. There we go. This is around the 14th or so. And just as we continue to move this forward past the 14th, let me switch this up over here through to the 16th. One thing that you do see is you start to see some activity starting to go on here inside of the Gulf at around the 18th or so, which is again later on, I believe, this weekend. The 18th is on Saturday. Yes, it is. So you can see that there is some activity starting to pop up. You see that there is something trying to go on as we go into this weekend here. And then as you move even, further into the future, into the 19th and the 20th, look how much activity we have starting to pop up now. I mean, you see multiple ensembles kind of showing some pressure drops in terms of low pressures and not really anything in terms of high pressure. So we'll see what this has to, do as we move into this weekend going into next week. But, you see a couple trying to make landfall in some areas. You see a couple kind of continuing, over into the Gulf Coast, rather it's in Texas or over in Florida in the Big Bend area. So it's all over the place. It's all over the place. But the main thing that I will say, we're still 10 plus days out, if maybe a little bit less. And the National Hurricane Center, I believe, has not put anything out yet. Yeah, they have not put anything out yet. So we're going to continue to go in and wait on that. But the tropics may be trying to get a little bit active as well. So I think that we could be talking about that potentially later on this week. But that's pretty much all I have to say here in terms of the forecast here for pretty much the long term going on into the forecast for the week. So we're going to go on right now and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say here for tonight. So my Aunt Lula here first says, good evening, everyone. I pray that everyone had a blessed Sunday. Well, thank you so much for that. Today's high was around 94. Currently, it's 77. We had light rain showers. Well, thank you so much for that forecast update for where you are over there. And then yesterday, I took my daughter to Charleston International. It was an awful storm. Thank the Lord we made it. She had an 8 p.m. flight. Well, glad that y'all made it there and you made it back, obviously. And yes, we did have some damage. We did have some damage yesterday, pretty much throughout the Charleston County, the Berkeley County, and the Dorchester County area. We saw some damage in Somerville. We saw some damage over there near the Charleston International Airport. We saw some damage over inside of the more North Charleston, more Latson areas as well. And speaking of, we also had some damage reports today as well. If I go over towards the SPC Outlook, I go to the storm reports for today. We had storm reports, I see over here in Latson on Dorchester Road, blocking part of the roadway over in that area. James Island had some storm reports. Lancaster County, Beaufort had a storm report of trees down over in that area. Florence County did. Orangeburg just got a storm report with trees and power line down even inside the city as well. So, I mean, that's just what these summer storms do. That's just what they do. And honestly, that's why we take every risk seriously. Even though it was a slight risk of severe weather, we still see what it could potentially do. Now, as we continue our way down, my Nana says, hello, Jay. Hello to you. What a day. The rain got to me going into the grocery store. Well, I'm glad that you were able to make it back. And, I do know that you did have a pretty eventful day. Seemed like you did, at least. I have no trees, but my deck is full. Deck is full of leaves. Trail says, greetings, everyone. Greetings to you. And then my Aunt Lou says, great for tomorrow. The lawn needs cutting. Well, yeah, I think tomorrow definitely could be. I mean, it matters, I think, of where you are. But for the most part, it looks like that a good amount could potentially miss out on some morning rainfall. And with it being cooler as well, with it being cooler, with those low temperatures tonight, not really being the lowest for a lot of areas, like 77 still in a couple of areas, but that's not really too bad in terms of like 90s or 100-degree temperature. Like you can work out in those conditions right there. And that's pretty much all that I have here in terms of the chat. I don't see anything else, so we'll come back to the chat in just a moment. But we have a top fan question of the night for tonight. You might be asking, top fan question of the night for tonight. What is that? Well, that is obviously not San Antonio, Texas. We're not there yet. But the top fan question is where we go on and talk about and see who was paying attention. See who was paying attention for tonight. And so I can ask anything. It could be from the beginning of the stream to the end part of the stream. It could be anything. It could be anything, anytime. And so I was looking for one specific thing, but I don't see it. So I'm assuming that still that's not going to be an automatic win. But I am looking for it. I'm still looking for it though. Not seeing it though. But let's see, what question am I going to pull off for tonight? I think for the most part, since the crazy score kind of moves around, let's see who can remember what the crazy score for today was. Who can remember what the crazy score for today was? It actually was a pretty simple number there, but we'll see who gets it. We'll see who gets it first. So that's the question. Whoever gets it, you'll be top fan of the night. You have to be a subscriber though to type. So let's go in and talk about the 3 areas outside of South Carolina. While they're answering that, you might be asking, 3 areas? What am I talking about? I'm talking about Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. We usually have 4, but we're not going to be talking about that 4th area for honestly the next couple of days, if the next like 10 days or so. So we have a long time before we get back to that, but we still have other areas that we're going to go on and talk about, Raleigh being the next one, the first one, I should say. And I do believe that for you, it's going to continue to be active all the way through into Monday and Tuesday. But then as you move later on into like Wednesday on into the future, things get drier. So you have low temperatures tonight at 70, high temperatures for tomorrow at 79, low temperatures tomorrow night at 66. Thunderstorms are likely tonight. Showers are likely tomorrow, and then there's a chance of thunderstorms tomorrow night as well. So that thunderstorm threat does continue for you, and then in terms of temperatures for your future, it does look like that you will continue to stay hot. 92 on Wednesday, 97 on Thursday, Friday even at 97, 95 on Saturday. And then if we go into your severe weather risk, you do still have a risk for tonight. They should have updated, but they did. Okay, so yeah, you still have a thunderstorm risk, but not really severe weather. And then, but past that, it looks like that you're looking pretty good. Excessive rainfall wise for you as well, you do have a risk of excessive rainfall for tonight. Tomorrow, isolated flash flooding is possible, and then after that, you look good. Now for Raleigh, North Carolina, you have low temperature, or Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I don't know why I keep on getting these areas mixed up, but for Philadelphia, you have low temperatures tonight at 64, high temperatures for tomorrow at 86, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 65. No precipitation really is expected for tonight or tomorrow. And then no precipitation until around Saturday or so. Saturday, you have a chance of shower activity, but it's not, anything else past that. Severe weather for you not expected. You're not seeing any sort of excessive rainfall. So you're pretty much good. Temperature-wise, you're also going to stay around 99 or so on Wednesday, 93 on Thursday, but then like Tuesday, you're going to be at like 92. So I don't know why Wednesday is like going to be like so much higher than the others. 92 on Tuesday and then like 99 Wednesday and then 93 on Thursday. So it's going to kind of just go up all the way and then just go right back down. Then in terms of Duncan, Oklahoma, the final one, you have low temperatures tonight at 70, high temperatures for tomorrow at 91, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 70. No precipitation tonight, but tomorrow, slight chance of thunderstorms tomorrow and tomorrow night. Severe weather for you. It does look like you do have a risk that kind of just fizzled out. It's gone now, so no severe weather risk for tonight. And then excessive rainfall-wise, you do have a risk for that. Never mind, you do not. They got rid of that as well. So you're good, actually. So no severe weather, no excessive rainfall for you. And then in terms of your future, temperature-wise, you're going to continue to stay in the 90s, but don't worry, by next weekend, you'll be back up into the upper 90s there as well. But that's all that I can say here for these three areas. So let's see what's going on throughout the entire U.S. weather news-wise. Record-setting heat is expected over the next several days from the Intermountain West through the Northern Plains. Furthermore, fire weather concerns increase with dry and breezy conditions. Meanwhile, heavy rainfall and severe thunderstorm threats from the Ohio to the Tennessee valleys, Central Appalachians, and the Southeast continue on for today and tonight. The threat shifts to the central Gulf Coast and across central Texas this week. So a lot of things going on. We're going to have some, obviously we talked about the record-setting heat over there. There's going to be some windy conditions. So with those, windy conditions come a risk for some fire weather concerns as well. Like, for example, there's going to be some winds, I believe, of tonight, where some of those winds over there, like in Montana, could potentially reach of up to around 60 miles per hour. And that usually does also come with a risk of, which I guess that actually doesn't make sense, because when we were looking at it earlier, we saw just like a regular shower up there inside of Montana, but it wasn't really doing anything. But I guess because, just the regular risk of winds kind of moving in throughout the area, and then also you have just some rainfall, kind of just some shower activity going on, that does prompt a severe thunderstorm warning there. So that does explain my reasoning as of earlier. If you were here for the beginning, you know what I'm talking about. But let's see what we have in terms of answers. I already see it. It is 40. So congratulations to my Aunt Lula for getting it first for tonight and for winning the top fan of the night for tonight. If you want to be like her, you can by going on in, being here 9 o'clock p.m., being a subscriber, and paying attention. Because if you do all those three things, a good chance you could probably be a top fan of the night. And honorable mention for tonight, my Nana was on there, and then that was pretty much about it. I don't see really anything else. To be an honorable mention, you obviously have to be active inside the chat as well. And that's all that I can see here for tonight. So make sure if you've not the like button yet or the subscribe button yet, please make sure that you go in and do so. Also hit the share button, share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, and people that you don't talk to regularly, because it's free, it's free, it's free. And then also remember to check out my website, scweather360.com. You can send me in photos on that website, scweather360.com. Send me photos there that we can go in and look at here on the stream, and then also that we can go on and kind of look at and see. You can kind of just go in and look at and share it around. Share it around to other people that may have also seen similar conditions where they were, and they may try and go on and send in some pictures as well. So, it's never too late. You can always go in and send in a picture. Remember, it does have to be weather-related, something on the astrology side, something atmosphere-related. It has to be somewhere on that sphere, though. But that's all I have to say for tonight. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning for your Monday morning forecast update. Also, tomorrow evening, Monday evening forecast update. Hit those two buttons before you leave if you're new. And everyone have a fantastic start to the week. Hopefully, we do.